Hello, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. And today I want to talk with you about how easy it is to start a business of your own today. And this topic is incredibly interesting to me because the truth of the matter is that it is easier than ever to start a business today. Because, I like to say if you have a phone, you have a business. And it's easy. Like you can set up a Cash App or a Venmo. You can walk into any bank branch. Actually, you don't even have to walk into a bank branch. You can just open an account on your phone and have a business account set up. You can get your EIN on, from the government on your phone, and you can have it set up. It's free to set it up. You can go on to a variety of websites and get all your tax ID information done. Like you can just get all sorts of things done online and you can get it done in 5 minutes. You can go to a website domain reservation place and buy a domain for $10, sometimes less if they're on sale. And you can have a website tonight for $1.99 on some places. And, AI can set things up for you and it can be all done in a hot minute. You're done, off to the races, right? So it's easy to start a business. Easy peasy Japanesey, right? What's not easy is to actually manage a business and lead a business because while it's easy to start a business, those are the mechanical things like one, two, three, press a button, file a form, sign a document, whip out your credit card and a couple of swipes and you're done. But in order to lead a business, you have to manage things and you have to be a leader and you have to be a person with some common sense and you have to be able to run a business for more than a couple of days to actually have a business. And that's not so easy. That requires focus and concentration and commitment and fortitude and resilience and all sorts of other things. You have to be able to say yes when you need to say yes, and you have to be able to say no when you need to say no. And that takes practice and confidence and all kinds of things that you can't buy with a swipe of a credit card. So, easy just got hard, and some hard things actually just got easy. And you got to be able to integrate both into your life if you want to have a business that lasts more than a few days on TikTok, right? So, what I want to share with you is some of the things that I have learned about um, not just starting a business, but actually leading one, because there is a very big difference. So, for any of you out there that are looking to like know a little bit from like an entrepreneur with some mileage on her, that would be me, about what it actually takes to lead a business and manage a business, not just start a business, then this video is for you. And I could talk about this for about 100 years, but I'm not going to because you don't have that kind of time. So I'm just going to share three things that you need. Once you've launched your business and started your business, which is the easier part, you need to be able to have some things in place in your mind, right? In your mind, in order to run your business long term. So the first thing is that you need to be able to fix your mind to toil away in the dark when no one is looking. Like when you are working and you have 0 followers and maybe you've set up a Facebook group and no one is there, and you're posting and no one is talking back to you, and you have an email newsletter with like 3 subscribers, and one of them is your mom, and the other one's your brother, and the other one's your dog, right? And you got to keep sending that newsletter out when no one is reading. You set up your Instagram account and you have 0 followers and you can't afford ads and you can't afford to hire one of those services to create fake followers so you can feel good that you have followers that are really bots, right? You got to be able to toil away in the dark when no one is looking. This is how you get started. And you really only need 1 follower and 1 community member and 1 subscriber to get started. But what a lot of people think, because they see all these glorified accounts on social media, is that you need 1 million followers in order to count, but you don't. You really just need 1 to get started. And how do I know this? Because, like, that's how I started. That's how I started. But I was willing, and I know a million people who were also willing because they've been in business like me for 2 decades and longer. They were willing to start with nothing. Zero, like zero, like a few people, and then they grew it to 10, and then they grew it to 20, and they grew it to 25, but they started with zero. Like you have to be able, willing and able to start with nothing, and you have to be able to do it when no one is watching in order to be successful. And you hear athletes talk about this a lot. They talk about the late Kobe Bryant would talk about how he would, I don't know, shoot like, I don't know, 500 shots in the driveway every day. Other people were doing other things, but he was shooting baskets and no one was watching. No one was paying attention. He wasn't famous. He was nobody. He was just another kid shooting a basketball at the time. And of course, people knew he had some talent, but a lot of boys have talent. A lot. I raised a boy and he has talent. He plays football. He's very talented. He's a gifted athlete. And he was born gifted because when he was really young, he could outrun and outthrow and outcatch and out everybody on the football field. But eventually, the people the little boys who didn't really like football and they were just playing it for recreation, they petered themselves out because they really didn't like the sport. They were just doing it because it was like physical education class. But eventually the kids who didn't have natural talent started to outwork the ones who did have natural talent. The ones who practiced all the time outworked the ones with natural talent, and the ones with natural talent who weren't willing to work, they faded away because their natural talent could not carry the day. They had to work to add to their natural talent. Okay, so my son, who had the natural talent, also had to work in order to keep up with the guys who didn't have as much natural talent as him, but who were willing to work. That combination eventually rises to the top. You have to be willing to work in the dark when no one's looking. You have to be willing to, do the extra sit-ups and lift the extra weights down in the basement when no one's looking. It's not just catching, touchdowns or, having big tackles, or what are they called when you tackle the quarterback? Sacks, right? It's not just about the three-point shots on the basketball court. That's the glorious part. But what goes into that behind the scenes, that's where the work is done. Nobody's watching you do that. Nobody's watching you get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go jogging in the dark, right? No one's watching that. So what I'm saying is you have to be willing to work in the dark when no one's looking and you're not getting rewarded. That's the hard part. That's what makes the easy part look easy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you're going to have to be willing to realize that your relationships are going to change. Some relationships, not all. Well, all of them are going to change. Some of them are going to change in ways that you don't expect. That's what I should say. Because not everybody is going to appreciate how your role as a leader is going to change, not just how you run your business, but how you run your life. Because as you advance as a leader in your business, it is going to change your life for the better. You are going to become more productive. You are going to become more efficient, and you are going to become more intentional about how you lead your life. And some people are not going to like that. They're not going to like it. They're going to like the version of you that went to all the parties and the version of you that drifted around and didn't make the most of every single minute and didn't maybe understand how every moment that you spent your life or invested your life led to the next thing in your life, and how every decision you made impacted your life in one way or another, in a good way or a bad way, not in a neutral way, and that you needed to make your decisions in a way that allowed you to lead your business and your life in a way that were congruent together. and that every decision you made in your personal life affected your business, and every decision you made in your business life affected your personal life, and they went together because they were integrated, right? And you didn't just go to work and have that be in a silo and then have your personal life and that be in a silo. They go together. And not everybody is going to understand that as you begin to understand that more and more as a business owner and a business leader. And people are going to say things to you like, "Oh, you're working too much," or you're maybe working out a little bit too much, because you're going to start to see that your physical endurance is going to the more physically you are able to endure physical vigorous physicality, the more you're going to be able to lead your business better. You're going to find that. If you don't know it already, you're going to find that out. And some people are going to say things like, you're working out, you're just stressing yourself out too much, right? And I kind of like that because it's advancing yourself personally and advancing yourself in your business as well. And some people will begin to try to undermine that, but they won't be obvious about it. They'll be a little subtle. They'll try to be subtle about it. And you're going to have to look out for that, and you're going to have to learn how to manage that. You're also going to have to learn how to say no, how to say no. It's going to be uncomfortable. So that's the second thing is um, you're not going to be able to bring everybody on the journey with you. You're going to have to offboard some people, and you're going to have to onboard some new people to come with you on your journey. You're going to find that. And that's a tough, those are tough lessons to learn. And they happen in life anyway. These things happen whether you have a business or not. If you're paying attention, if you're not paying attention, it doesn't matter. But if you are, and you are growing, if you are growing and advancing in your life, you can't bring people along who are not growing and not advancing. They can't come because they will hold you back. I once heard Steve Harvey, the comedian and game show host and entrepreneur and a lot of other things. I once heard him talk about rocket boosters and spaceships, and how when a spaceship takes off, it has the rocket boosters attached to it. And the rocket boosters are designed to give that spaceship immediate and significant liftoff. And they are very important. They're very important at the beginning. But eventually, those rocket boosters have to fall off that ship. If they don't, they just weigh the ship down and the ship can't keep going higher. So those rocket boosters are not insignificant. They're very significant at the beginning. But eventually, they can't keep up with that rocket because that rocket needs to go higher. But those rocket boosters, they begin to lose power because they can't keep up. They weren't designed to keep up. So if that rocket is going to go higher, it has to drop the boosters, and the boosters will fall off, or everything will fall down. So if the boosters don't fall off, everything goes down. So the rocket has to let the boosters go in order for the rocket to go higher. That's a good way to look at it. So we don't want to make the boosters feel bad because they had a purpose. They helped us get to the point in the atmosphere where we could go higher. But we have to gently let them go, because if we don't, they'll hold us back. We can't let that happen. So there's a good analogy. Okay, so toiling away in the dark, and also letting the rocket boosters go when it's time for them to go. When they lose their power, we got to let them go. And the third thing is that we have to continuously tweak the life plan. The life plan cannot be static. We can never, ever, ever come to the conclusion that we have arrived somewhere, because we haven't. You have not arrived. I have not arrived. You must always tweak the life plan and always be learning and always be advancing. Because once you think, okay, I've gotten here, that is a danger zone right there. Because if you think you've ever arrived somewhere, you will become static, you will become complacent, and you will stop growing. You will stop. So and this is a life lesson, not just for entrepreneurship, but it is especially important for you if you have a business, because the world we live in does not reward a business that becomes static. It doesn't. Because what will happen is your business will grow, it will grow, it will grow. And if you think you have arrived somewhere, that's where your growth is going to stop. And eventually your business is going to come to a tableau like this, like it's going to level off. And businesses do not level off for long. How do I know? I will tell you how I know one day. They do not level off for long. It might level off for a minute, and you're lucky if you can stay stable for a minute, but it's going to fall off. It's going to tank. It is going to tank. Ask me how I know. It will tank. And once you lose that momentum, you have got to be able to get it back, or that business is gonna fold and you're gonna need a job or a silver spoon or marry a rich person or something, because you're gonna need some cash. Once that business plateaus, look for it to start going down and start finding some money someplace else, or figure out how to pivot and turn it around. You're gonna have to do that. Okay. So you can never ever think that that business has gotten to a point where you've arrived and you can take a deep breath and put your feet up and start eating bonbons all day, because that's just not going to happen. You got to keep it going. You got to keep it tweaked. You got to keep it evolving, and you have to keep innovating. Keep innovating, because this world does not tolerate a business that does not continuously innovate. So if you don't want to keep innovating, keep your day job and keep advancing and getting raises and getting promoted, because you're not going to be able to make it over the long haul with a business of your own. So do both, do both. But anyway, so those are the three things I want to share with you. Easy just got hard, and vice versa, right? Okay, so go ahead and start your business. I want you to do that. But I also want you to know that you have this exciting road ahead of you, where you will be toiling away in the dark, but you will also be greatly rewarded for it. And you will also have to drop your rocket boosters, and that is not a bad thing, because you do not want to hang around with anybody that's dragging you down. You do not want to do that. And thirdly, always be tweaking, always be innovating. And why wouldn't you want to do that? Because that is what makes life fun and exciting and never, ever boring. So while it's not easy, who wants easy? Like, I don't want easy. Easy is so boring. And you know what? Okay, so there's a quote by Jim Rohn, Rohn. If you don't know who he is, go out now and buy everything he ever wrote, everything he ever said, every Audible that's out there. A lot of it is free, like, because I think he died in like 95, maybe, I don't remember. But he was a great motivational speaker and a very prolific author, extremely wise person. A lot of his stuff will be free. If you can get it free, go get it. If you're ever in an antique store and there's anything by him, buy it, get it. Keep it in your library, read it over and over and over again. He said, the definition of easy is anything I can do. That just changed my whole life. That simple concept. So whenever people say to me, "Oh, it just seems so hard," I'm like, but if you can do it, it's easy. You could do it. It's easy. If you can do it, it's easy. Like, I think about this when I'm lifting weights, right? In the gym. It's so hard. I'm like, yeah, but I can do it. So therefore it's easy. How's that? I like thinking that way. That's a good way to think. So let's be thinking that way. If you can do it, it's easy, because you can do hard things, and that's what makes them easy. So do that, okay? So remember those three things, right? Toiling in the dark creates all the success that you could ever want. Do stuff in the dark, you'll eventually be rewarded in the light. Number two, drop the rocket boosters. We love them, but we have to let them go. And number three, tweak and innovate. Tweak and innovate. And that bonus one was number four. If you can do it, it's easy. There you go. Boom. All right. What do you think? In the comments, let's talk about it. And I will see you tomorrow.